Hi folks, today I'm going to talk about the capital gains calculation on equity mutual funds. There are two types of capital gains which can be applicable. One is the short term capital gains and the long term capital gains. Now, to understand this better, I've taken the SIP mode of investment, that is, where the person is doing monthly investment of rupees 5,000 per month. Once we understand this mode, then lump sum mode, that is where you make a one time purchase, becomes very easy to understand. So this is actual data of the Parag Parikh Flexi Cap Fund. So assuming that a person has invested from April 2022 and the person has put 5,000 rupees every month, how would the short term and long term capital gains be calculated? So, the first thing we need to understand is that if you started investing in April 2022, this means that you started more than a year back and you sold the entire holding that you have. This does not qualify you for entirely long term capital gains because the capital gains is defined by period and the period is on each transaction that you have done. So, in this case, it is assumed that the person started on April 2022 and the last investment that they made was on March 2025. Now, we will also assume that the sale date of the entire holding in this mutual fund scheme was on 31st March 2025. Right? So, to understand this table better, let's look at the table. So here the purchase date of the first transaction is 4th April 2022. On that day, 5,000 rupees was invested into the fund. The purchase price, that is the price per unit or NAV on that day, was 50.85 rupees. So the investor got 98.328 units, which is 5,000 divided by price per unit gives you the number of units. Now, on the next time when the investor gave 5,000 rupees or invested 5,000 rupees, the purchase price was 46.12. So they got slightly higher units, which is 108.405, so on and so forth. Now, here I've calculated the gain or loss per transaction. So the cost price for each of these transactions is 5,000 rupees. That is the same, but the gain changes. So the gain will be the number of units into the sale price on the day that it was done, which is 78.88 rupees. So in this case, it will be 98.328 multiplied by 78.88, that's the sale price, minus cost price, which is 5,000 rupees, gives you a gain of 2756. So I hope this is clear. Now, the number of days also I have calculated, which is the number of days each transaction was held. So here, this transaction was made on 4th April 2022, and then the units were sold on 31/3/2025. Therefore, these units were held for 1092 days. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the taxation changes with the holding period. So, all these transactions which happen more than 365 days qualifies for the long term capital gains, whereas these transactions only qualify for short term capital gains because each of these units were held for less than 12 months. So, let's do the calculation here. The long term capital gains is 59,080 rupees. Now, as per this rule, the LTCG is 12.5% on the gains that you made, but the first 1.25 lakhs is exempted. During financial year 2024 to 25, if I sold other shares and other equity funds as well, then I have to see what is the gain on all this. Let's say the gain was 2 lakhs. Therefore, I don't have to pay tax on the entire 2 lakhs. I can remove 1.25 lakhs and pay 12.5% on the balance 75,000. But if I had only one holding, which was this Parag Parikh Flexi Cap, and the long term capital gains was 59,000, this is my entire long term capital gains on shares plus mutual funds, then I don't have to pay any tax on this. Now let's go to the short term capital gains calculation. So the short term capital gains is 1381 rupees, 1381. Now there is no exemption here. Directly I am charged 20% tax, or I'm liable for 20% tax. Therefore, the taxes to be paid is 276 rupees. So this is my taxation on equity mutual funds. So you can uh, understand this better through this table. When you apply for your statement of capital gains, you can do this easily through the CAMS plus K FinTech website. Then you will get the complete calculation of long term capital gains and of short term capital gains. You'll get it consolidated as well as fund wise. So you don't need to go and make this table and then break it down. But I thought this would help you to understand the logic behind the calculation. So if you have any more queries, you can always drop a comment or write into us at our contact points, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Thanks for watching.